Hi guys, so in the latest episode of the Brexit saga, Rishi Sunak, it appeared, reached out to King Charles in order to help push through the quote-unquote deal with the European Union. But the plan has backfired in a spectacular way, as it has upset one of the groups that he had hoped it would force to go along with it, the DUP. Rishi Sunak is not a leader. He isn't even a clever politician. He's extremely weak, and bringing the monarchy into all of this shows desperation, not having a clear grip of the situation. Have a look at this report.
The time for talking is over, Rishi Sunak believes, and now it's time for a deal on the Northern Ireland Protocol. After months of talks with political leaders in Northern Ireland and in Europe, the Prime Minister appears to be on the brink of landing a historic Brexit deal. But the disclosure by Sky News that King Charles was being lined up to play a key ceremonial role in the final stages of negotiations has hardened the DUP's opposition.
Not only is the Prime Minister naive, if that's what he was planning to do, but this is a cynical use or abuse of the King. He knows that the King's intervention would be seen by many of our supporters as an endorsement of the deal. And he also knows, of course, that in doing so, he was dragging the King into a hugely controversial political issue.
I never thought I'd ever say the day, but I'd ever see the day that I'd say, I agree with Sammy Wilson. Yes, Sammy Wilson is correct here. It was naive. I think this was a ridiculous idea to bring the King into this. It shows desperation. And probably Rishi Sunak's thinking was, well, these people are loyalists. These people will do whatever the King says. So what we'll do is we'll use the King as a tool to convince the DUP to go along with this. And it's backfired. But it's also backfired with members of his own party.
The King was close to being deployed by Number 10 to meet the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, with the signing of a new Brexit deal expected imminently. The meeting has now been cancelled. The leading Tory Eurosceptic MP Jacob Rees-Mogg told Sky News bringing in the King would border on constitutional impropriety. Reinforcing the view that a deal may be imminent, Conservative MPs have been put on a three-line whip to be here in the Commons on Monday. But leading Eurosceptic Tory MPs also tell me they fear they're going to be bounced into accepting Mr Sunak's deal with little or no time to study the detail.
And now they have a problem with that, because they didn't have a problem with the withdrawal agreement. They didn't have any problem with not having time to read the withdrawal agreement or the TCA. Both of these were rushed through Parliament by Conservative governments and Conservative MPs. So now they're complaining that they may not have a chance to read it. Now, I think they should have a chance to read it, in the same way I think they should have had a chance to read the withdrawal agreement and the TCA. But now they seem to be complaining that, oh, we won't get a chance to read it. And maybe this is finally Rishi Sunak waking up to the reality of his own party and the likes of the ERG by imposing a three-line whip. You know, Boris Johnson, back in 2019, took the whip away from Remainer politicians within his party, pro-European politicians within his party. Maybe Rishi Sunak should do the same, but for Brexiteers.
In a blow to Mr Sunak's hopes of winning over Brexiteers, the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson has signalled he may not back the PM's deal.
I think the best way forward, as I said when I was running the government, is the Northern Ireland Bill.
Urging him instead to pass his own bill, giving ministers powers to defy Brussels.
And finally you have the clown interjecting here, the clown putting himself in front of the camera once again to take... Look, Boris Johnson, I've said before, doesn't care about Northern Ireland. He doesn't care about the Northern Ireland Protocol. Completely irrelevant to him. This is about Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson wanting the limelight once again. Now, I don't know, and there's this feeling within the Conservative Party that some people want Boris Johnson back and Boris Johnson wants to be Prime Minister again. I don't know if that's true, because he's making so much money promoting himself doing these speaking tours and promoting himself, that he probably doesn't care about being prime minister anymore. You know, there's no criticism when he's giving his speech. He just goes there, speaks, and gets a lot of money, a huge amount of money. Well, if he becomes prime minister again, he's going to have to deal with this issue. So it's easier for him to stand on the sidelines, you know, giving advice, complaining, criticizing, and doing his tours and making lots of money than actually taking over the responsibility of being prime minister. But then it's difficult to predict what Boris Johnson's going to do. So this is a bit of a mess. Bringing in the king to push, you know, to force the DUP to agree to this has backfired, and he's resorted now to a 3-line whip to get Tory MPs to agree to this. In a sense, I agree with the 3-line whip. You need to be tough with your own politicians. You need to tell the likes of the ERG, if you don't agree with this, you're going to lose the whip and you're in serious trouble. He needs to face them down. But with the DUP, I think he should have opened negotiations with Ireland. That would have got the DUP round to, that would have convinced the DUP we need to do something, because that's kryptonite in a sense to the DUP. But let's see how things pan out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.